so on our first episode of Open Bruza, we have a man that has been president for the first 10 years of the Tathra Football Club, dating back from 1983 all the way through. He's a man that grew up in Victoria, played some footy down at Tooleybuck. I'm sure that you all know who I'm referring to now. We'd like to welcome Robert Little. How are you, Rob?
Very good, thank you, Bruce. Yeah, very happy that you've started this going, and I'll do my best.
No worries, mate. I'm sure you've been interviewed plenty of times over the journey. But first of all, the first thing I'd like to touch on is obviously back in the Tooleybuck days and where you grew up in Victoria, and how did you start to get the love of footy?
Well, my father played from when he was a child, virtually, over at Tooleybuck on the Murray River. And then I started playing when I was 8 years of age. And it was just, Dad was president of Tooleybuck for 21 or 22 years. In that period of time, we won a couple of grand finals, and it was just, loved the game and involved heavily, and way of life. And after all those years, 60 odd years, well, you just love it. You love the game, mate.
So you grew up in Victoria, mate. Obviously Tooleybuck is where you made your name as a footballer.
Yep.
How old were you when you first started playing senior footy for Tooleybuck?
I was about 19, and we won our best grand final in 1965.
65.
We won about 3, but that was my favourite one because it was Dad's last year as president, and that's how I got the nickname Frog.
Right. Because
everyone knew me as Fred.
Right.
Like even when Val came over to Tooleybuck as a teacher, and everyone sort of used to call me Fred. When I was at high, my dear brother called me that after a bit of an incident, and anyway, in the 65 granny, I was a bit lucky, and I played full forward.
Got on the end of a few.
Got on the end of a few and kicked six goals odd, and the Albie Hanson, the bloke used to write for the Swanhill Guardian, wrote it up in the paper on Wednesday about the granny, and took a photo of a bit of a lucky mark up in there, and he put Frog leaping Fred Little. And that's how I caught Frog. Nice. But anyway, forget that.
Good stuff.
Yep.
All right, so we'll move on from the Tooleybuck days. We'll head to Tathra.
Yep.
How was your involvement in getting the Sapphire Coast AFL started? I know that you had played a big hand in getting some guys from around the district to start the league up as such. I think Alan Simpson was probably one, and Greg Wollaston, a few of those guys from down south. Brucey Day from Narooma.
Yep.
Must be pretty high on your achievements as far as being able to say that you played a pretty big part in getting local footy started around here.
Well, mate, it was devastating to us. We took the hotel over, as most people know, in '79. And we only had rugby league, there was no soccer or anything else, and that was our number one winter sport, or the only winter sport. And of course, in '81, they after 3 meetings down at the hotel, unfortunately enough, they had to fold, and we were devastated, of course, Val and I, and having a hotel and no winter sport. A couple of cricket teams, as everyone knows, having a game of cricket at Wollumla, and talked about a few Aussie rules players, and why don't we have a bit of a muck around game a couple of Sundays time. We'll put 4 posts up either end of the cricket ground, and we'll do that. And a couple of blokes knew me and knew how I'd been involved in Aussie rules, and anyway, they rang me up. So I wrote in the top, on the blackboard in the top lounge and the bottom bar, anyone interested in the game of Aussie rules, training run next Sunday, Lawrence Park, meeting here, and imagine how I got treated in the hotel by the young blokes and that. Get out of town, news.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was fine.
And the rest is history.
And we had 26 turned up, and it was pretty rugged. But anyway, the rest is history. The first year we formed, we had the 2 muck around games that year in '82, and then we formed, as you know, in '83, and I was president of Tathra, of course, and vice president of the league and team manager, so
You were
pretty involved.
Yeah, well,
Anyway.
I did touch on that earlier about being president for the first 10 years. It must have been a pretty hard and straining job, I suppose, is starting out from the ground up. But fast forward 4 or 5 years on, and you're playing in a grand final in 1988.
Oh,
You know, what was that feeling when you knew that your club was playing in the grand final in 88?
Mate, it was just unbelievable, and I will admit, I'm almost sure that's the biggest crowd that even up until now that's ever been to a grand final. We played at Pandora, of course, and it was the biggest crowd that has ever been, and everyone from Tartha went. It was incredible, even all our ex-rugby league people and that it didn't have much to do with Aussie rules at all, same as I didn't have anything to do with rugby league, and everyone went. And it was phenomenal. Before I forget, Bruce, as I was saying, I'll never forget, we're all standing down within a foot of in the last quarter. We had the game pretty well sewn up. And about 2 to 3 minutes before the game was over, you wouldn't credit, from Panville Beach, obviously up at Flan, 2 huge big sea eagles. They come across the northern end of the goalpost, up 50, 100 yards, whatever, and flew the whole length of the ground, and then turned around, flew back, and went back to the sea.
It was an omen.
And no one could believe it. But anyway,
it's amazing.
History.
So that night, after the 88 flag, you obviously would have got a fair crowd back at your establishment down here in Dartford. Can you give us any inkling of what that was like? Like, that would have been just something that you never witness again.
No, mate, it was just phenomenal. And feeding them, there was some of the guys that stayed down at the hotel. There was no trouble, please believe me, no trouble whatsoever, which is obviously we knew there wouldn't be. But anyway, there was one of our players only, Tassie Russell, who was a great young bloke, great footballer, and on the Tuesday at about 12 o'clock, he was sitting down the bottom bar, and it got too much for him, hadn't been to sleep, and his head went down and just put a small crack in the window, just down the bottom. And that was the only, and feeding, we just had
a good time.
Miraculous time.
All right.
Yep.
All right, so obviously we myself and you could sit here and talk about footy and Tartha for hours on end.
Yep.
So I'm going to do a little bit of word association. I'm going to mention a couple of things, and I want you to give me a one-word answer, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so the 1996 Premiership team at Tartha.
Yes, Bruce, I'd have to say it'd have to be the best. Well...
Okay,
that's
fair.
It's a tough one.
And I think anyone in each area would argue with you, but that's okay.
I know.
But that's okay. You've seen them all, so you've got the credit to be able to call that. 4 in a row, 2010, 11, 12, 13.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. I had it on my little list.
First time Tartha ever won back-to-back.
Exactly, and there were some brilliant teams in that. And I say the second year when we beat the Bay up at the Bay, which were all very devastated when the
fixture came out.
The league gave us the fixture that we would be playing at Hanging Rock irregardless of where. Anyway, that out of the 4 teams, I could be wrong, but that was a brilliant team.
Yeah, it was.
The whole 4 were brilliant.
Yeah, they were.
But anyway, that was a fabulous period of the club, mate.
Last one for the word association.
Yep.
Best player to ever play at Tartha.
Oh, Bruce, that is...
No pressure.
That is a phenomenal pressure. Oh, God almighty. Very hard, but I don't know why you've asked me this, Bruce. yeah, you're very funny there. I could name...
There's been a lot.
I could name... Look, over 37 years, been a lot. I'd nearly have to say, pound for pound, inch for inch, Paul Holsworth.
Yep, no.
And
we've heard that.
But I don't know whether I'm right.
Well, that's just your opinion, and I'm
that's
happy
my
with
opinion. I'd like to name another 30 or 40.
For sure.
For Christ, for heaven's sake. Sorry.
Yep, no, very, very well done,
Yep,
mate.
yep.
So only a couple more questions to go. We
Yep.
need to, Dino and myself, Dino the cameraman, we both need to probably hit the track. But the current situation of the league, we know that, over the last 10 to 15 years, the league's probably dropped off as far as probably participation-wise, people wanting to play, that sort of thing. Where do you think the league's at, and what do you reckon that we can probably do as a club and as a league to try and get things back up to where they were sort of 10, 15 years ago?
Bruce, it makes it very, very hard really for me to answer that, because sort of my age now, going through the great times when we had the 10 strong clubs with, seniors, reserves, juniors and that every week, and now we're down to what we are now, I find it, one thing that I put a lot of this down to, and I could be right or wrong, but is money being paid.
Yep.
Money being paid in country leagues, huge money paid to clubs way in the middle of nowhere, Riverina and all that, and taking players from here, there and everywhere because of money. Really, honestly, in 1965, as I said, harking back to Turleybuck, we had one player, we had a brilliant team, we had one player, our coach, getting £500 a year, and that was it. Mm-hmm. And we had some brilliant footballers and no one else got any money.
Yeah.
And that's, I know it's not probably the answer, mate.
Yeah,
but it's something that I feel...
It's a bit of a worry, isn't it?
Is a worry. What we can do, hopefully with the juniors coming on very well like they are, it may hopefully build up again and turn around. Yep.
All right, mate, so my last question.
Yep.
Obviously, you're at the back end of your life, not at the front end of your life.
Worse like.
I think I'm the same, probably. I'm about halfway. What does life hold for Frog Little in the next 20 years, if you last 20 years? What do you look forward to, mate, now? You're obviously a keen fisherman, you've still got a passion in the footy club, all that sort of stuff, but what drives you getting up every day and doing what you do? Obviously you do a lot around the town as far as keeping the grounds tidy and clean, and you've got Croc and Ann up the top there with local businesses and things like that. What drives you every day to get up and keep pushing?
Well, mate, all I can say is that I go fishing normally 3, 4, sometimes 5 days a week. Apart from when Aussie rules are on, I played bowls for 20 odd years. And people say to me, Bruce, I'll come in from fishing outside for the 4th day in a row or whatever, or up the river, and they say, "Oh, Frog, you're 75, 76 years of age, what are you doing?" And I say, "Hey, I'm enjoying myself, I've caught a few fish, and I might be doing it in 2 months, 10 years, whatever."
Life short,
and
short.
Yeah, because they reckon I wasn't going to see 50 when I was in the pub, as you know.
Yep. And
anyway, that's why I just love life, mate.
No, well, it's great.
I'm going to see it out.
It's great to see, mate. Thanks for being on the first episode of Open Bruza, mate. Like I said, it's a bit of fun, and we'll get a few different guests on and things like that, but we thought it would be fitting to have you on first up, because obviously, we've got the old honour board behind us. You can see just by having a read of that what you've done for the footy club, and we're all the guys that are here now that play, and the juniors coming through will always know who Robert Little is, and what you've done for the footy club over the journey, mate, will never be unmatched. Won't ever be matched, and we're all very appreciative of that. So thanks very much, mate, for joining us.
And Bruce, to you, you've done a magnificent job. I'm not, in your pocket, but anyway, you've done a magnificent job since you've been here with us, along with Macca and everyone else. And you can imagine Valerie and I, and the boys, the 3 boys, Plugger, Ant and Croc, that have all played footy. The fun in the 37, 38 years we've had out of Aussie rules is just been, I can't, without crying, I cannot explain.
Well, hopefully, mate, there's a few more years to come for you and Val. I'm sure
there
there is.
I hope so.
We'll see you hopefully in a couple of months, mate. Round 1 up on the hill.
Thank you, Bruce.
Good on you, mate.
Thanks,
Cheers.